Recently, the Chinese Communist Party's military released a series of promotional videos titled Tempered in Fire, claiming they have been forged into steel through tampering. While it sounds impressive, in reality, it's a comic compilation exposing their own shortcomings. The videos, filled with political gimmicks, characteristics of party culture, subtly insert some red historical narratives. Most intriguingly, they showcase the training results of various military branches over the years, inadvertently revealing the exaggerated combat capabilities of the People's Liberation Army, PLA. Forged into steel, after watching these videos, it's evident that the PLA's combat abilities have long been distorted under scrutiny. Bomber escort relies solely on the party. In the first episode of Tempered in Fire, it starts with fighting the skies with hearts towards the party, flying 10,000 miles without losing direction. It suggests that as long as PLA pilots are loyal to the party, they can fly thousands of miles without getting lost, negating the need for satellite navigation. Flight navigation relies on sophisticated navigation systems and the experience and skills of pilots. If the PLA's navigation systems are unreliable, no amount of party loyalty will prevent pilots from potentially crashing. The video proudly displays subtitles boasting that since 2012, the H-6 bombers have completed missions like patrolling the South China Sea, advancing beyond islands chain, and circling Taiwan. The narration repeatedly emphasizes we must rush to the forefront, the front line. Here, the PLA is inadvertently revealing the truth. Whenever the H-6 flies a long distance, it's always unescorted because their fighter jets lack significant range for escort missions, making such support a luxury. The bombers have to fly solo, which is the real reason behind rushing to the forefront. They have no choice but to fly alone. In contrast, US bombers are always escorted by fighters, even on long missions, thanks to a mature aerial refueling system. The US military often showcase their refueling operations in widely available videos. What might have seemed routine now highlights the complexities of aerial refueling, a capability the PLA has yet to fully master. So, proclaiming the H-6 rushes to the forefront sounds grand, but it's actually a bitter self-mockery of the PLA Air Force. Without fighter escorts, these bombers are essentially vulnerable targets. The CCP's promotional video also hints that the H-6 can deploy nuclear weapons, a dubious claim. In an actual conflict, the H-6 would likely be intercepted by enemy fighters long before reaching its target. Furthermore, the CCP boasts that the H-6 bomber can fly 10,000 miles. In reality, to extend its range, they've converted the bomb bay into additional fuel tanks, maxing out at about 3,500 kilometers. This promotional approach puts the PLA's exaggerated combat capabilities on full display, inadvertently exposing their limitations right from the start. Missiles require party approval. A few years ago, the CCP's much-publicized rocket force was in the spotlight. Now, after internal purges, it's been sidelined. And even in promotional videos, missile launches are conspicuously absent. The rocket force's portrayal revolves around missile testing. Why? Central leaders fear the possibility of missiles being turned towards Beijing or Zhongnanhai. This video deliberately features the rocket force's missile inspection unit working diligently, aiming to reassure the Central Military Commission. It emphasizes strict controls and loyalty to the party, ensuring missiles remain under firm control. However, the problem is that each missile must undergo cumbersome testing procedures before deployment. In the event of an actual conflict, if enemy missiles are inbound while the PLA's missiles are still undergoing tests, the outcome could be disastrous, a clear example of ineffective combat readiness. Moreover, the CCP once heavily promoted missiles like the Guam Express and Carrier Killers, but now they scarcely mention them, implicitly acknowledging the practical issues and unreliability these weapons possess. Can loyalty substitute for survival? The video highlights a 19-year-old soldier from Fujian, Chen Xiangrong, who lost his life during the 2021 Gawan Valley clash between China and India. The film portrays him as a heroic figure, but notably avoids any mention of the actual conflict. If he were truly a hero, why not detail his actions during the clash? The likely reason is the PLA suffered greater losses than admitted, and highlighting the true events might undermine their narrative. The promotional piece turns a humiliating encounter into a sentimental homage. Furthermore, deploying Chen, a southern China-based Fujian native, to the high-altitude border with India was questionable. Unacclaimed to such environments, his physical capabilities would be compromised. The CCP prefers transferring soldiers from other provinces to border areas to prevent local troops in Xinjiang and Tibet from potentially disregarding whether these soldiers can adapt to harsh conditions. Adding to the absurdity, the video mentions an 18-year-old Tajik soldier who was injured during high-altitude training. Instead of being withdrawn from recovery as standard procedure in professional armies, he was kept in the front lines. Such practices are unimaginable elsewhere, as injured soldiers can become liabilities. The CCP glorifies this to emphasize loyalty, suggesting that perseverance despite injury exemplifies dedication to the party. Ultimately, this isn't surprising. The first episode of Tempered in Fire explicitly states that political army building and loyalty to the party are the PLA's core objectives. It's evident that the CCP prioritizes unwavering allegiance over developing a professional, combat-ready military. Combat effectiveness and soldier well-being take a backseat to demonstrating loyalty, even at the expense of practicality. The less capable of fighting, the more likely to be attacked. In the second episode of Tempered in Fire, it opens with a perplexing statement. Preparing to fight may mean not having to fight. This suggests that the PLA is ramping up preparations in hopes of avoiding actual conflict, a clear indication of reluctance to engage in warfare. The following line is equally telling. The less capable we are of fighting, the more likely we are to be attacked. This essentially admits fear of aggression due to inadequate combat capabilities. Combining these statements reveal an underlying anxiety, a desire to avoid conflict coupled with the lack of confidence in their own military strength. Such expressions of preparing not to fight and fearing attack expose the PLA's internal apprehensions. Their intense training efforts stem not from confidence but from an acute awareness of their vulnerabilities. The candidness of Tempered in Fire inadvertently suggests a form of capitulation towards the US. The video then delves into the role of drones on the battlefield, showcasing models strikingly similar to the US MQ-4 and MQ-9, a blatant imitation. It touts these drones as a new type combat forces highlighted by Xi Jinping during the National People's Congress, positioning them as the PLA's latest strategic assets. However, drone warfare is hardly novel, and labeling as new type combat power seems overstated. Ironically, by displaying drones resembling those of the US military, the PLA unintentionally reveals that much of their combat power is copied. Manual wargaming, the PLA's reliance on tabletop exercises. Around the 2-minute 30 mark, the video features a PLA Army brigade conducting a realistic offensive and defensive drill. The narration asserts future wars are multi-service joint operations, yet it quickly confesses, if our understanding of other services remain theoretical, we will inevitably fail to maximize overall combat performance in future operations. This omission highlights a lack of practical integration among different military branches. What's more surprising is their proposed solution, manual wargaming. In an era dominated by digital stimulation and real-time data analytics, relying on staff officers moving pieces on a map with colored pencils seems outdated. Modern warfare depends on satellite, drones, and instantaneous data processing. The US military employs advanced supercomputers for wargaming exercises. The PLA's reliance on manual methods raises questions about the effectiveness of their strategic planning. The video proudly claims that such manual wargaming enhances combat readiness. However, without real combat experience, these exercises risk become mere theoretical drills, suggesting that armchair strategy can significantly boost combat levels may be more hopeful than factual. The PLA's last significant combat experience dates back to the 1979 Sino-Vietnamese War, which doesn't reflect modern warfare's complexities. Even with current exercises featuring red and blue teams, the PLA lacks genuine confrontation experience with forces like the US military. Their understanding of potential adversaries is based largely on reports and speculation. Given the disparity in overall strength, it's challenging for the PLA to accurately stimulate an opponent like the US military, potentially limiting the practical value of their drills. Without first-hand experience against real adversaries, claiming that wargaming can enhance combat effectiveness may be optimistic at best. PLA pilots' boldness comes with shaky knees. In the second episode of Tempered in Fire, the focus is on the PLA Air Force's rigorous air combat training. However, it completely skips the crucial aspect of beyond visual range (BVR) combat and instead emphasizes risky interception of foreign aircraft and close-range confrontations. A hero pilot, Zhang Zhangfang, is showcased, reportedly intercepting a foreign reconnaissance aircraft near China's terrestrial waters. In the footage, Zhang requests parallel positioning, indicating a high-speed, close formation maneuver that leaves little room for error, risking everything in case of a mistake. The foreign plane in question is a large unarmed reconnaissance aircraft, a modified Boeing jet. Despite having the upper hand, the PLA pilot, under orders from the control tower, engages in a dangerously close interception. The video proudly states, "Don't bend your back, don't let your legs shake." Ironically, this is a sign of insufficient training. This segment inadvertently confirms US military claims of PLA aircraft performing risky intercepts. In another dramatic scene, the PLA fighter jet, meant to unsheath the sword in the face of the enemy, is shown to close up, revealing it is not armed. The rushed takeoff without time to equip the plane with weapons highlights serious issues in the PLA's emergency preparedness. Next, the J-20 stealth fighter is heavily featured, with two J-20s engaging in a mock confrontation. A PLA early warning aircraft detects this simulated enemy J-20 and relays the target's coordinates to the friendly J-20. Bearing 090, distance 150, altitude 80. However, instead of using the aircraft's advanced system, the pilot turns to visually search for the target, seemingly forgetting that they are in modern aircraft. The footage reveals that the pilot's helmet display wasn't deployed until they were about to engage, an approach contrasting sharply with US military stringent protocols where fifth-generation fighter pilots are fully equipped with the moment they take off. In this exercise, only one J-20 plays a role of the enemy, a far cry from US military exercises where multiple adversary aircrafts are typically involved. The PLA's J-20 radar fails to detect the stimulated enemy within 150 kilometers, exposing a significant shortfall in the jet's detection capabilities. For the PL-15 air-to-air missiles to the effectiveness, it requires the support of a large, early warning aircraft or drone in a launch from one platform guided by another scenario. Yet, in real combat, these vulnerable early warning aircraft would likely be taken down early, making them unreliable for transmitting information to the J-20s. This exercise seems to be underestimated the capabilities of potential adversaries, suggesting that, in real battle, PLA aircraft may have to rely on luck to survive. The video's promotional focus on the J-20's ability to down another aircraft of its generation, which has been spun in China to imply the J-20 can defeat the US F-35. However, on closer inspection, it's clear this was merely an internal exercise. The exaggerated promotion is reminiscent of the Soviet-era Pravda style of reporting. Moreover, if a J-20 can take down another J-20, it calls into question its stealth capabilities. If the J-20 were truly stealthy, it wouldn't have been detected. Yet the Tempered in Fire video celebrates this as a success, reflecting poorly on those in charge of the promotional content. The Tempered in Fire promotional video is filled with unintentionally comical moments, painting a vivid picture of the PLA's paper tiger image. Despite the Chinese Communist Party's emphasis on appearance, the reality beneath the surface is clear. The PLA's training and equipment remains inadequate. As a result, the military's operational capabilities are more about appearance than genuine readiness, producing a false sense of combat strength that crumbles under closer scrutiny.